Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the AI Read Listener's Digest, the audio version of the Focus Now training newsletter, put out as a weekly Men Talking Mindfulness podcast drop. If you're not subscribed to the newsletter yet, head over to newsletter.focusnowtraining.com or text MTM to 33777 and get on the list. All right, let's get into it. A few months back, Jon and Will brought on Andy Riise, Army officer turned mental performance coach who currently works with athletes in the NFL, including the Chicago Bears, and he works with youth, athletes, parents, and coaches, and has also expanded into some really interesting niche markets like rodeo athletes. Andy also has a TEDx talk and runs the Skull Sessions podcast. Andy, Will, and Jon went after a topic that most men feel every single day but rarely name out loud: the approval trap. Why we care so much about what other people think and what it's actually costing us. Will opened with a Marcus Aurelius quote that set the whole tone. We all love ourselves more than other people but care more about their opinion than our own. Written in the 2nd century AD, still painfully accurate. Now, here's the part that should reframe how you think about this. Fear of negative evaluation, FNE in the research literature, isn't some soft psychological concept. It's biological. Your brain literally processes social rejection through the same circuits it uses for physical pain. Getting dismissed in a meeting or blown off by someone you respect registers in your nervous system the same way a punch does. That's not weakness. That's millions of years of wiring. Getting pushed out of a tribe used to mean losing food, protection, and your place in the world. Your body still reads rejection as a survival threat. Jon drove that point home. He said the old saying, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me," is total BS. Words hurt worse. And when you feel that social threat, your body responds. Tight chest, drop in the stomach, breathing speeds up. That's your sympathetic nervous system treating a sideways comment in a meeting like a physical danger. Andy added the evolutionary layer. Your brain is designed to conserve calories and keep you safe. It's got a built-in watchdog, but it's the kind of dog that barks at the UPS guy and old people walking by with the same intensity it'd bring to a break-in. Oversensitive, overreactive. And that watchdog makes it easy to stay conservative, stay quiet, stay in your lane. Because putting yourself out there costs energy your survival brain doesn't want to spend. Will brought up the spotlight effect, which is one of those research findings that should make you breathe easier. Cornell ran a study showing that people thought 50% of the room noticed something about them. A shirt, an awkward moment, whatever. The actual number was 25%. Half as many people are paying attention to you as you think, and most of them are too busy worrying about their own spotlight to care about yours. Andy told a story from his time at the West Point prep school that put all of this into motion. First day in the mess hall, 220 cadets, and everyone self-sorted. All the African-American guys from the South sat together, all the white guys from the West Coast sat together, the guys from New York and Boston, the Asian cadets. Like Hogwarts, he said, everybody got sorted into their comfort group. And then Andy, being Andy, decided to go sit with a completely different table. He admitted it made him anxious. These were guys he played football with every day, but the act of crossing that invisible line still triggered something. Jon called it one of the most genuinely macho things a man can do, walking into discomfort on purpose. The conversation moved into where FNE shows up in daily life, and this part read like a checklist most men could tick through without pausing. At work, saying yes to everything, burning out, then resenting the people you're overcommitting for. Withholding your real opinion because you'd rather be agreeable than risk standing out. Jon shared that a commanding officer once told him he wished Jon had disagreed with him more often. The approval seeking was actually holding his career back. In relationships, constant reassurance seeking. Are we okay? Are you happy? Outsourcing your emotional regulation to your partner. Will called it neediness, which is exactly what it is, and over time it erodes attraction. The person who needs constant validation becomes exhausting to be around. With kids, the Disney dad trap, buying approval instead of earning respect. coming home from a trip with toys instead of accountability. Jon admitted he still does this, and the research is clear. Kids feel safer with limits. When you avoid discipline to be the cool dad, you're passing the approval pattern straight down to the next generation. And then we'll hit the deepest layer. Most men aren't performing for the whole world. They're performing for one or two specific people, usually someone from their past, a father, a coach, an ex. Will calls them ghosts. Jon said his ghost is his dad, who's still alive, his high school coach. Girls from high school he hasn't spoken to in years. Will said his is his father, too. These people might be gone, might never have cared in the first place, but their voice is still running in the background, and men are building entire lives trying to answer it. The resolution section got tactical. Andy taught a framework he uses with NFL athletes called BASS. Breathe. Hit the brakes on your nervous system. Accept. Radically accept what just happened with neutral self-talk. Separate. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. Imagine them in your hands or as characters on a screen you're watching from the outside. Shift. Move from neutral to the next small step forward. 30 seconds. Evidence-based. Practical enough to use between plays or between meetings. Will added 2 more. First, do a values audit. Ask yourself one question before any decision. Am I acting here because this matters to me or because of how it looks? Second, run a spotlight effect experiment. Do something slightly bold in a low-stakes setting. Check if anyone noticed. You'll probably be underwhelmed. Jon wrapped with something worth sitting with. When you stop chasing approval, you start living authentically, and people can tell the difference between performing and being real. The irony is that the thing you're afraid of, being seen, is the thing that actually earns respect. The episode closed the way it opened. Marcus Aurelius, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Now here's something worth your attention before it's gone. Jon and Will have been building something called the Awareness to Action course, a 2A for short. It's an online course and community built around exactly the kind of work this episode is about. Purpose, values, emotional regulation, the stuff that actually moves the needle when you're tired of running the same patterns. There's a module on finding your purpose, which Jon and Will both said during this episode is the single biggest antidote to approval seeking. Men without a clear sense of internal purpose are the most vulnerable to needing external validation. A 2A is designed to fix that. Here's why this matters right now. The Founders Day discount, 40% off, ends today, Friday, May 29th at 1 p.m. Eastern. That price is gone after that. If this episode made you recognize yourself in any of the patterns they talked about, the yes man at work, the reassurance seeking in your relationship, the ghost from your past who's still running the show, this course was built for exactly where you are. Text MTM to 33777 or hit the link in the show notes to get in before the door closes. 40% off won't come back around. The full episode is worth your time. You can listen to the complete conversation here at the link in the comments. Andy's podcast is Skull Sessions, available everywhere. His TEDx talk is called Fight to Win the War from Within. He's also a speaker for hire. Jon's book, Dial in Your Leadership, 4 Non-negotiables for Leading with Clarity, Trust, and Purpose, is available on Amazon. Link is in the show notes. That's this week. If you know a man who's been living for other people's opinions longer than he'd like to admit, send him this one. We'll be back next Friday. Take care, everyone.